That
was a lovely noise to start with.
I could have been
my back
it could
for
have been
1
worse.
second. 1 second, and Mikey
Could have been worse. Like, can I get a hoya?
No, you cannot.
Let's start this the proper way. Ladies and gentlemen, and all those in between, we love you very much here. Thank you for joining us, Bi-Conics wrestling fans, on the Bi-Conics Wrestling Podcast Network. We are here with the Bi-Conics Review of Honor of ROH for this week, coming off of Final Battle. Gentlemen, put your hands in. We are going to observe the Code of Honor. And of course, we are here with Mikey, Andrew, Jesse, and myself, JVL, all in different places, different ways. So now we have 4 screens, so it looks better than cutting Jesse and I in half. I know it looks weird sometimes on the shorts. We appreciate it because we don't end up looking at each other. It's very weird. We are happy to be here doing this right before the holiday season, as we talked about on our Dynamite review. It's the season for all the holidays, so whatever you're celebrating, or if you're not celebrating, we appreciate you joining us here and spending some of your time here, escaping your in-laws, escaping your family, and other things with us. It's always good. We watched Ring of Honor coming to us again from Texas, the follow-up show after Final Battle. And gentlemen, this was an up and down Ring of Honor kind of, fallout show. We had some things kind of rehashed, a couple new storylines brought up, and a couple of matches just for the fans. Maybe 1 or 2 for nobody in particular. But we don't know exactly we're going to go for it as we go, because we started off with a recap of Final Battle, as it should be, and really just a recap of the best match on the card, Athena versus Billie Starkz.
Yeah.
And it was good to have that. If you hadn't watched Final Battle, although having Final Battle on Watch ROH and Honor Club, you would think you would have watched Final Battle because you can't, it's the same place. You would have the chance either way. But then we had Athena and Lexi cutting another promo. And gentlemen, was this a fun way to start our thing off with the best thing happening in ROH?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Lexi's facial expressions play so well. She looks so scared to say the wrong
She's so
thing.
good. I love Lexi. And I love that Athena. Yeah, I love that Athena called it out. It's just like, what was with the hesitation? Lexi's like, about that.
Yeah, she's arguably the best part of anything backstage with Ring of Honor right now. Probably with most wrestling promotions right now, I'd say.
Absolutely. Every segment that she does with people, she's able to match the people that she works with, every different style, really well, and bring something unique to it. But she's also, she seems very knowledgeable about professional wrestling as well. So yeah, it was great. It was a fun way to start, and especially jumping right out of that package from Final Battle.
And of course, she claims it's her show. It is her show. It is everything else.
100.
And she just hopes the wrestlers have a good time and have some fun. Always fun, especially who she's going up against, which we found out later was one of her own trainees in that match, which was awesome. Very fun. But we cut to our opening match of the night. We had the Horsemen taking on the Von Erichs, and the Horsemen working extra hard to get heat from the crowd in Texas, putting down the Von Erichs.
It didn't
when they don't
work.
really do much of that.
No.
It didn't work at all.
No.
Or, I mean,
Katie Drake, I'm like, you're too lovable for me to hate you, honestly.
That's a hard sell to make him a heel. I don't think his mic work was very good. And John, you had referenced it earlier. Some matches were for the fans, some matches weren't for anyone. I feel like this match was for Texas and Texas exclusively. Yeah, and again, like I mentioned in our last review, another promotion for the Iron Club will be coming out.
Exactly, and you could see it from the fan reaction there that was definitely for those front row people, including that guy in the army sweatshirt who was looking every wrestler up and down all night and very much was trying to hide his interest in a certain couple of things, Dalton Castle aside.
I can't blame him, though.
I do have to ask, the Von Erichs won with a moonsault? How does that work?
Yeah, I did not. It was, so at first when I watched this, I was thinking, okay, the Von Erichs are the local folks. They're also trying to get them over as a new team throughout the kind of AEW umbrella. And it's tied to this movie that they're trying to get some publicity for too. So they're doing that kind of stuff. But I don't like the idea of the Horsemen losing. They've been putting in a lot of work here. I get why they did. But there's a part of me that was like, okay, well, they did do a good job of making the Von Erichs look better than their last time out, and I think that was a credit to the Horsemen because they just work really well, no pun intended, with people that they wrestle with. And I thought, okay, this was a good way to kind of introduce and bring up the Von Erichs because they're the newer team and all that stuff. But I went and I looked, and the Von Erichs they've been active for over 10 years together. Those two brothers have been active for 10 years together, so it's not like they're rookies. And they came from that family, so they've been doing it since before they were pros. So it felt kind of, with the beginning, with them kind of trying to get that heel heat going, with the way the match kind of worked and everything, the way it just felt, it didn't feel like it got what they were hoping it would get across.
Definitely proved that Anthony Henry was definitely worth that title shot in Final Battle.
The only good spot was seeing Kevin Von Erich do the Iron Claw at the end after the match and all the schmaz. Aside from that, I don't feel like it really worked.
His hands were huge too. Like, he put the Iron Claw on Anthony Henry and covered like his half his face and the top of his head. It was crazy. All right,
it was a face hugger.
Yeah,
full face hugger. Mikey, I would love any insight you've got on this, because you know more than like anything about the Von Erichs and why they would be there. But just give us a little taste here.
If I'm going to be completely honest, I don't think this was an egregiously bad match. It was okay at the best. I don't hate the Von Erichs, but I will say it was smart for this to be the opener for this episode, because I would not have put it anywhere else on the card except for the opener, because everything else was up and down. But yeah, smart decision to put this match opener. I agree. I don't necessarily like the Horsemen losing. Then again, you just had the Outrunners lose to the Von Erichs on 0 hours, so I don't know if you had... That's the other thing. I can't foresee any other tag team that I would throw to them for the Von Erichs to beat. Like, because all the other tag teams have been putting in work. I wouldn't put the Infantry, definitely not the Righteous. They already got embarrassed enough by losing a 2-on-1 match to MJF of all things.
Yeah, no, that's we know all
the
about
baby
that.
boys is what I've named them for Maria Kanellis and Griff, Garrison, and Cole Carter. Honestly, I wouldn't even throw them. I was like, I wouldn't wish that upon my worst enemy. But it was for Texas. It served its purpose. Texas crowd was cool with it. That's all it needed to be.
Perfect. And then we moved on to a really good match where, once you find out that this person is Athena's actual student in her wrestling school, you see why she sold so much for her and did so much for her on that one. But Athena took on Maya World in a Prove It match, and Maya obviously lost, but got a lot of offense in, even a couple times where you could tell how green she was, and still was sold well by Athena. So, it was fun to see that, and then see Athena beat the crap out of her afterwards, which is good.
This match went longer than I expected it to. I expected it to be like a standard squash, and I was happy to see that it got a little bit of depth and ability to grow in there. To me, the part that I actually enjoyed the most wasn't the match itself, but the fact that they kept the face mask on Athena after the nose broken thing, because I don't know if that was a work or not, but paying attention to the continuity is important, so it was good to see that they kept going with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this match was really fun. I did like the fact it's fun to see mentors and teachers work with their students, and you could feel it from both of them, both their familiarity with each other, but also that Athena definitely has, it's clear in her work with Billy and other folks that she's got a good mentorship to her, and so seeing them work together was really cool. That bit of action that Maya got at one point, ending with that kind of ripcord corkscrew falcon arrow thing that she hit, was super cool to get her, for a chance for her to hit something like that. And I thought, as a proving ground match, this was a really, really cool match to have for Maya World, because they did a good job of, really getting for a chance to kind of prove that she can work in this business. So I thought it was a great way to go, and I kind of liked that at the end she gave her the respect, and she did the okay, yeah, she did a good job, okay, yeah, you deserve to be out here, but you don't deserve to be my level, and reminded her of who's in charge. And I love the relationship between Billy and Athena and how that's continuing to grow, and we're getting to see those personalities, especially because they're very different and dynamic from the traditional heel champion actions and henchman kind of relationships that we get a lot in wrestling. So I'm really enjoying that they continue to grow on that stuff with these two.
again, I echo what Andrew said. I love when teachers and mentors get to interact with students, especially in the wrestling ring like this, which is really fun. And again, already been said, but I love now that Billy and Athena are kind of like, they crossed that barrier, so to speak, of Billy being frustrated of doing anything and everything to get Athena's approval. And Athena's like, hey girl, we're cool with this. It was really nice, just the subtleties too, that Athena wasn't really yelling at her during the entrance like she does. She just looked at her, didn't say anything, and Billy did her little like happy dance, and then Athena just rolled her eyes, but she smiled as she was walking into the ring too. I was just like, I love those subtexts, and I love those little nuances from characters.
They carry through. They carry through
Exactly.
week to week, which is perfect.
So, as this was a proving ground match, I was sitting here thinking as you gentlemen were talking, I feel like it would be such a small but important thing to do is if they put up a 10-minute timer, like counting down once the match started to keep you vested. Like, are they going to go the 10 minutes? Because I know this one was probably about 6 or 7, so it was closer than some of the other proving ground matches that we've gotten. But I feel like that small thing would really help keep the audience and invested in it as the countdown gets lower.
Normally, commentary is pretty good about like letting us know when there's about 3 minutes left. They start to go into it, but I don't think they got to that spot, or it's planned out in advance. But you're right, having it on the screen also for visually, even those with hearing impairment to be able to see would be really cool.
Yeah.
I agree with that. It's smart. It's like I know another company's coming up with a 5-minute quick match idea, and one of the comments that I heard about it was that putting the clock up there gets people more invested.
Right.
Like they do for like Rumble style, Battle Royal kind of style matches.
Elimination Chamber, all those.
I mean, the
countdowns. Yeah.
The Royal Rumble, every time they're counting down from 10, you get shocked and realize, oh man, there's a lot of people who can't count because everyone's joining in for it.
No, that was Dynamite. That was Dynamite last night.
Oh, listen,
That was
we're not
terrible.
even going to revisit that. I also think a timer would also help too, because from a writing and character perspective, it makes it fun to see some urgency from the people inside the ring. They're like, all right, I got 2 minutes. I got to figure out a way for Athena to either end it as fast as she can, or for example, Maya in this case, if we were to run down close to the counter hitting 0, Maya figuring out ways to keep away from Athena to run the clock out. Gotta love the urgency.
And Billy helping her get to that. Yes, it's always good. There also was a subtle little thing there as you watch the match too. Billy got slightly jealous a little bit ways through, and then with the show of respect, Billy's like, wait, okay, no, Athena's fine. So, always. But we transfer from that to a pre-taped again, TK making the announcement that we have the Women's ROH TV Championship, which, got to a point that we have some people already saying they want it, so that's good, but didn't need to be on there again. I don't think we already knew all about it. Yes, you in the back there with the Bray Wyatt t-shirt.
I have questions.
Okay, we can try to answer them.
Great. How are we finding out who's going to be the first champion? What's we doing? Are we doing a tournament? Is he just going to hand somebody it? Like, can we? Well, this didn't need to be there. Why did we announce it with nothing following it up? It's like I have more questions than I have answers when a big announcement from TK comes out, as usual. But like, come on, we didn't need to have this on there.
Nope.
I also have to say that I felt like I knew what was getting announced because it's already been announced in other places. I knew what was coming up, so I started at a certain level because I'm like, cool, all right, well, everything aside, we're getting a new women's title, so maybe this will be a really good thing for all the women in these two companies. And as he talked about this big announcement, my interest just was going like this. So as he was talking, by the time it finally got revealed, I was like, I feel less excited now about this thing that it's already what I knew it was, but it was like you drained the energy out of me. And I think, like you said, Jesse, if it had been more than that announcement, at least if we had a tournament, I could have something to get excited about. But his delivery was just, it drained me for that excitement.
So, on the one hand, I completely agree with Jesse and Andrew here. I feel that not having anything, even if it was like, hey, we're going to hold this tournament, we'll be announcing participants as the weeks go on, and we'll let you know when this happens. Even if you have nothing like that planned, it's a better hook and a better investment for me. I'm going to remain a little bit more optimistic in the sense that I am excited to see who's going to be the inaugural women's television champion, because you have a lot of strong women in Ring of Honor. My only Listen, that would be my go-to, but if I had to pick, like, just looking at the women's roster now, I would pick Billie.
Billie starts.
Layla Hirsch if she gets her mic work done a little bit more. Like, if she gets more comfortable.
Mercedes Martinez.
Kiera Hogan would be fun. Like,
all of them could hold it. I think Billie deserves to be the first one.
I think Billie should be the first one. My only concern is that depending on how we want to set up this tournament, if it's just exclusively ROH women, cool. My biggest fear is that
it better be. It's an ROH title.
Well, okay, we say that, but as we talk about this and the tag team championships are being held hostage by an Oompa Loompa over on Dynamite, like,
don't call Samoa Joe an Oompa Loompa.
No, Joe is. Listen, I would never call Joe anything but nice things because I know he would beat me up, and I want him to defend me in a dark alley. I want him to save me. The problem I have is that I'm so afraid. I mean, granted, on the one hand, it's a double-edged sword. On the one hand, at least the women on AEW will get to be used more in Ring of Honor. But I swear to God, if Britt Baker holds this title and is the inaugural champion, I will literally shut up ROH and I will take a break from it for like a week or two. Anybody but the big four over in Dynamite, which at this point, there's not even enough for four.
Either way, we have that announcement happen. We know what's going to be going on with this. It is mentioned later on in the night that a couple of ROH women are very invested in it, so it's going to be good for their storyline and hopefully to build something to it. I'm assuming there's a tournament. That's most likely what's going to happen. We move from that announcement and Tony Khan's dead doll eyes to a big shot at Lee Johnson versus Dante Martin, where we talked about this a little offline. Interesting match to put together. These two guys work very well together, but why put Dante Martin, who's back part of Top Flight, in a singles match, and then later in the night have Darius and Action Andretti in a tag match when Andretti was always the single star coming out of this? I mean, who was this for?
This was for no one. I'm gonna be completely honest with you.
My only thought was this was to get Dante reps. I know he was back on one of the AEW programming earlier this week, but just to get him reps as he's going back into a full-time schedule after that horrific injury went through.
This is also to get him a win because there's a championship match that all three men that we mentioned, like not a few seconds ago, they rack up wins because they have a championship match this Saturday on Collision, the Trios Championships.
That's what I thought that too when I saw that these two were facing each other until we got later on in the evening, because again, that made me feel like we should have gone the way that you talked about, JVO, which is have him team with his brother, because you still would have gotten that, we still would get the same outcomes, no matter how the teams were kind of divided. It makes more sense now that the team is actually back together. And I mean, I don't know. This match felt like I was watching a replay of like a Dark Elevation match. Like, I feel like I've seen this match before. I also feel like it wasn't as exciting as I would expect from the two of these two wrestling each other. It was a good, solid match. They did a lot of really good things, but for being a match where I was like, why is he not wrestling with his tag team partner and his brother? It didn't really get me excited for me to go, oh, that's why we're seeing this kind of a match. I didn't get any reason for it. And then on top of that, like, we saw Dante win, which means Lee Johnson lost. And so now Lee Johnson is on this losing streak after he picked up a big win over Josh Woods to start this streak. So it didn't feel like many people got served from this, and I'm not quite sure what the idea is with Top Flight and Action Andretti, because I don't know if they know what they're actually planning on doing with those three performers. So,
I mean, we had Dante Martin there, who was a single star while Darius was out. So I guess you can probably play with that a little bit of it. But honestly, and also this match makes Lee Johnson, again, why are we caring about Lee Johnson? Everyone seems to think he's an amazing worker, but he's basically Lee Moriarty with less push. It's just very much cloned in that respect, and so why do we care? Either way, we move on from that match to a backstage Fallout promo from Ethan Page with Scorpio Sky going on stuff where he says he can smell everyone in the locker room. They all smell like fear, but he's back to being all ego Ethan Page. He is completely gone all ego again.
My only notes for this was that I don't know how to feel that I got sniffed when I watched it, but I'm glad to see Scorpio Sky back.
Heck
Yes.
Like I feel like as soon as I watched that, I went and re-upped on deodorant just to be sure.
Yeah, my two notes for this promo were All Ego is here and Scorpio Sky is back. I'm excited to see what these two are going to win. I like the information that we got from this promo, that Ethan Page is rededicated to getting an ROH title, and Scorpio Sky has come back to help his friend fulfill a promise that he made to his daughter. So it just feels like they got that right motivation. So these two, I think they're going to kill it in ROH for a while. So stoked.
Love it. Well, we move on from Ethan Page pretty quickly. We go to the Gates of Agony taking on Willie Mack and Blake Christian. And, with no titles that they were having on the line, it was a pretty solid tag match. Because you forget that Blake Christian and Willie Mack have fought each other and also been tag team partners on the indies. They went back and forth and got the crap kicked out of them, but it was still a lot of fun. I love seeing Willie Mack on my thing. And did you guys enjoy seeing them as a team together? I mean, how did that go for you all?
I thought it was a good match. I like seeing them work together. I thought that their pacing matched each other really well. There was a spot when Blake Christian went through the ropes against Gates of Agony. I thought it was really kind of creative and inventive spot. And I do need to say, I feel bad for Willie Mack because he got blasted on that bounce and he went flying. Like I thought he was going to clear the ropes.
When you have 2 pounces in a night and the first one's better than the second one,
yeah,
the guy
it
that's
definitely
taking it
overshadowed the later one.
But the guy taking it is nearly 200 pounds heavier also says something about it. So that's hysterical to me.
Yeah, watching this match, like the Gates of Agony, and I get it. A lot of these performers are big, strong people, but seeing Gates of Agony in there with Willie Mack made me realize how big Gates of Agony are, because they make him look like a normal-sized person, and he is not a normal-sized person. So yeah, it's just crazy to see how powerful that these two are. I kind of would have liked to see, because we ended up having a tag team main event, I would like to have seen, if we're going to have a tag team main event, you're going to have one of your established tag teams that actually holds one of your tag team titles. I would rather have seen them in the main event, even if they're not defending that title. Like, I think it just brings a bigger name to it. But the main event was very exciting, and I did enjoy it. But this match was awesome. And, yeah, I'd be down to see Christian and Mack continue tagging on, especially if we're going to get more focus on the tag division, because I thought they worked really, really well together.
I thought this was a fun match as well. Listen, I'm a big sucker for Willie Mack. I always have been a big supporter of his, from time in Impact to Underground to the independent scene. Like, Willie Mack is awesome. And it was nice to see Gates of Agony kind of do more tag team, because they've been gone from television for the last couple of weeks. Win tag team tournament in New Japan, which they also did pretty well. I was really happy to see that they made it pretty far, only to get knocked out by TMDK, but that makes a lot of sense, given the fact that, well, no, because TMDK is a staple in New Japan. Yep. Gates of Agony were kind of like on a visiting, rotation, which was great. And I agree. Gates of Agony are big boys. And if you can make Willie Mack look like an average-sized person, that's saying something.
And then pounce his ass.
Really, yes. This match was a lot of fun.
Oy. Well, we cut from a very fun match. We then go backstage to a promo that didn't need to happen, because we had Tony Nese and Mark Sterling licking their wounds. Tony Nese describes why he said I quit, which was basically a recap of the match he had. Great job. And Mark Sterling's got a plan.
I hope. Go ahead, Mikey.
I'm gonna do the positives right now, and this is positive Mikey, because Kind of Spicy Mikey's gonna come out in a couple segments later. But
okay.
On the one hand, I am glad that both Ethan Page and Tony Nese are kind of tapering off to go do different things, which is nice, because this was a fun little run, but it doesn't need to overstay its welcome, just like some people over the holidays that you might have over. Anyways, I'm here for the whiny heel, but there's a lot of trepidation for me because of the fact that now with the route that we're going for, it makes sense for Tony Nese's character to complain about losing, but it's very hard to kind of tread that line, especially if you go to the direction that the cards were literally the cards were stacked against me prior to this match, during this match. Mark Henry's fault, Scorpio Sky's fault. I'm really afraid because there is too much of a whiny heel like that, and my biggest fear is that they're going to turn Smart Mark and, more importantly, Tony Nese into a very, very whiny baby heel. And I hate those types of characters. I hate those. Those are the heels that I hate the most. Is the very over-the-top whiny, like, woe is me, I can't do anything right. I'm like, suck it up, big boy, you are wrestling. This is what you do for a living. It's like, you win some, you lose some. Get good, as the kids say.
Tony Nese is a personal trainer. We've all heard this. I mean, he's just out there to get everyone in shape. There's nothing, he's not wrestling. Are you kidding me?
He just keeps getting tricked into these matches. He's just trying to get everyone into shape.
I mean, Jesse and I, we stand up at all times when he says
I'm so afraid that the good faith that they have built with Tony Nese and just being this kind of everyone is fat character into a over-the-top whiny character is going to turn me off from his character development. And it's just like, oh, let me mute it real quick. He's just going to complain about the whole entire thing.
I just hope that his complaining about what happened doesn't mean we're going to see more of the continued feud with Paige and Nese, because I think it's time to move on.
Knock on wood, don't put that out in the universe.
Thanks, Andrew.
No,
Thank
that's
you so
done.
much.
We got to move forward with that. I mean, after seeing this, and I'm just hearing you guys talk about the promo because evidently I must have skipped this promo when I was watching, and I don't feel like I missed much, but I feel like the best move forward for this, get Mark Sterling out of there. Tony Nese doesn't need him. Tony Nese doesn't need a mouthpiece.
I disagree.
Well, it's okay. One of us needs to be wrong.
Wow, dang. I think eventually Tony Nese can outgrow Smart Mark, but Tony Nese is... Listen, I am privy to him in another company before he came to Ring of Honor, and his mic work was not that great over there either. I think once Tony Nese gets better on the mic, then I think Smart Mark can go off and do other things. But right now, Tony Nese is better, but he's not at a level where he can hold his own. And the ultimate test is throw him against someone that is already a pretty good talker on the mic for Ring of Honors, though.
They just did that with Ethan Page.
That's what I'm saying. Ethan Page kind of ate him alive during that sit-down before Final Battle when they signed the contract and everything. Just putting it out there. So I think eventually Tony Nese can go off on his own, but right now he needs Smart Mark because Smart Mark, as grating as his voice is from time to time, he is a good talker on the mic. Especially when you pair him up with kind of a similar heel mindset that Tony Nese's character is going for as well.
Well, we've taken our ride there. We've gone through not so great on the mic to we're going to a trios match, which was put together, which all of us were salivating at when we saw the card open for this. Lance Archer and the Righteous, who are both, coming together under Jake Roberts' tutelage to take on the Iron Savages, the Jack Jameson. And, I mean, it wasn't a bad match. Wasn't a bad match.
Messy.
Very
This
messy.
did not connect.
Jack Jameson should not be wrestling.
No.
I don't think I think he's a body guy that doesn't know what he's doing in the ring. And the chemistry between the Righteous and Lance Archer isn't there. They're still figuring each other out, which could be a good storyline, but when you're up against the Iron Savages and you sacrifice the Iron Savages to that, it's kind of, I don't know.
I wanted to like this match. I really did. I thought there were some spots in it that I did enjoy. Like, one of my favorite moves from this was Lance Archer running up the ropes to do a knee strike, which was beautiful to watch. I was like, oh, Lance Archer, I've missed you on my television screen. And I do like Lance Archer being paired up with the Righteous, but I feel that a lot of this match, neither side really clicked with each other. Some parts of it were clunky. Like, it was really weird to see even within the Iron Savages, it seemed like neither of the three gentlemen were in sync with each other. Like, it felt like somebody missed a couple of cues.
They were playing to the crowd quite a bit.
They were playing to the... I was surprised. I was like, I know you guys played to the crowd, but they did it a lot this match, which really, really surprised me. And normally, if you play to the crowd, that usually means the heel team is going to do some sneaky stuff or like prevent a tag or something. But I felt like either there was no communication for certain parts, so everything kind of felt like it was clunky. And yeah, I feel like Jack Jameson could be there to be the hype man for, our lovable big boys, but he needs a lot of work to do if he's going to be in a trios match with the boys. Insane. Well, with Iron Savages, I'd say. The boys we'll see later.
It's interesting that you pointed out how much they were playing to the crowd, and I feel like a bit of that was getting stepped on by the Righteous, and like I think it was everybody not really clicking super well. There were some good spots. Like I feel like the build up to the finish was good, and I did like that it was kind of like the amount of playing to the crowd and kind of antics that the Iron Savages were doing is what cost them the win, because physically they were obviously able to keep up with the Righteous. One of the things I noticed was like watching the Iron Savages, like if they wanted to take them on a heel turn and make them just like a bruiser team, like they would be monsters. Like they're just so beefy. But
wouldn't that just be Bear Country then?
I know, yeah.
Yeah,
which is what they were before.
Yeah. They could be the Iron Country. I don't know. But
that's an Avatar: The Last Airbender thing at that point. Yeah.
But when you brought that up,
I swear it wasn't me. I didn't do anything. I swear.
That's what they all say.
Anyways.
Oh no, JVL's frozen. Oh no, we gotta wait for him too.
No, he's not. He's smiling. He's gonna break in a second. Yeah, it's yeah, I know.
It was more interesting than this match because I was disappointed in this.
You know what? We haven't gotten everyone's perspective on this yet, Mikey, and people that actually matter have to talk now. So, Jesse, if you wouldn't mind giving us your thoughts on the Righteous.
Well, actually, no, I was kidding. Go ahead.
Jesse, what did you think of the match here with the trios against each other? The lack of chemistry.
Well, very much like my parents and me, I was very disappointed. I was very excited for this match, and it didn't click. It didn't gel for me. I feel like this would have been a better match if it was the Iron Savages versus the Righteous. We didn't need Lance Archer. We didn't need Jack Jameson. I was really excited. They came out and, pumped in the Savage Sanctuary. I was all here for it. And then it didn't deliver. Although I will say there were a few saving graces. First off, that head scissors Russian leg sweep that Vincent pulled off was so pretty. It had no business being that beautiful. And then when they won and he's playing to the cameras, I feel like a pretty flower, man. I was like, cool, that's it. I'm done. I was happy with that. But aside from that, the match it didn't work for me. And I wanted it to. I was happy the Righteous won because as a fan, I'm happy they won. But I wanted the match to be so much better than it was.
You had two of your favorite teams in there. It was going to hurt to see one of them lose anyways. It was going to be what it was. But also, big props to Caprice for yelling out, "Earthquake just tagged in Typhoon! Here they come!" So always good to have that call.
One of the best things for Ring of Honor ever.
Oh, and I'm not sure if anyone else caught it, but I don't know the name of the move because it's got 800 different names. But Lance Archer had Bronson up in like a reverse crucifix position and flipped him down. He was like a half an inch from spiking him right on the top of his dome.
Nope, I caught it. I was just like, oh my gosh, no.
Not again.
So, I don't know if this might rub people the wrong way, but I've never been a big Lance fan. He's just not done it for me. I think it always bothered me that he started hitting that move from the ground, but he started hitting it on like 205ers, and then once he started wrestling other people, they had to hit from the corner, and it just bothers me. It's like if you're gonna be a big man, you're gonna hit a big man move, hit it in a big way. But the fact that he was that close to spiking him on his head was so scary. And I wasn't excited to see him join the Righteous, and I don't feel like he's clicking with them. And it started from the beginning, the fact that they entered separately, and they didn't really have any chemistry. It felt like a singles competitor who was teaming with a tag team, not someone who's like joining forces. Like it didn't click.
And he did just as well as the other singles competitor body guy who didn't wrestle very much on the other side.
Again, like I said, it would have been better as a straight tag match. But I'm telling you what, at 1 inch lower, and the Murder Hawk would have just turned into the Murderer, because Bronson would have been dead.
And after he had already hurt himself on a moonsault like that, you know, him putting that people like that was going to be hard anyways. But we move on from there to a very hard-hitting match and one that went a lot longer for a squash I didn't think it would do. Taya Valkyrie taking on Vert Vixen, and yes, go ahead.
You missed
Mikey.
promo. You missed the
No,
promo.
I didn't.
The weird Maria promo.
Yeah,
No,
I
we
did.
have to talk about it. We have to, because this is where Spicy Mikey has entered the chat. So
Fine.
I'm taking full control
Go
of this
ahead.
really quickly. So
Really quickly.
All right, should we leave
Sure,
that?
Go ahead. Yep.
here's the short version of it. Maria Kanellis and the Baby Boys, as I dubbed them, are backstage. Lexi's trying to interview them. Again, I don't know what we're doing with Maria with this, but it's fine. She announces that there's an 8-man tag later tonight with the Baby Boys, and that she has enlisted the help of another tag team to be a part of this match. And let me tell you, this is the most awkward shit that I have ever seen in my entire life. This whole thing, and I felt putting Griff, Garrison, and Creator Wrestler 529 aside, I felt so bad for the Spanish Announce Project because I love Serpentico, I love Angelico, which, by the way, Caprice notified the difference later in their match, because if you want to say it in Spanish, it's Angelico, but he's, that's neither here nor there. This was the most awkward interaction, and I'm trying to remember, I'm like, when did Cole Carter hate on these boys? Like, I'm trying to go back in the cramped of Ring of Honor. I was like, I don't remember them having any sort of interaction, but this was awkward as hell. This served nothing, and I feel like we're burying Spanish Announce Project.
So Mikey, before Jesse, you jump in here. Mikey, I figured out the reason why I didn't go through this. This was so bad that because of the issues Watch ROH was having, they cut this out of the broadcast I watched. It wasn't in it. So when this match came up later, I didn't know why there was an 8-person tag match.
Wrestling
I had
gods
notes
were
on that.
kind to.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
they
think
were.
that may have been the thing that
Kind to.
happened. What they had to cut it out, and that's why we had to re-upload it. So it wasn't there. There you go.
For you. Jesse, I'm
My
tagging
only
you
point,
in.
my only point I was going to make was echoing everything Mikey said. This was weird, but I liked Maria's outfit. I think it was actually, she pulled it from Seth Rollins' wardrobe, but I actually enjoyed it. I thought it looked good on her.
I have to say this felt weird because of what the payoff was later. It didn't make sense.
There
to
was
me.
a payoff?
No, exactly. What happened later, like this promo, I was like, okay, maybe they're setting up something here. I try to give most of the things a benefit of the doubt. Let's see where it's going, because maybe they know something we don't know. But when we finally got to the end of this, it was like, why? This made no sense. You should have just made it a normal. Once again, this seems to be a running theme here. Make it a normal match. It didn't need to be all these crazy multi-tag matches. But yeah, it was super weird. I didn't understand it. The one for a fragment of just a speck of a moment when she talked about bringing another tag team that she thought would really help them like evolve as a tag team. There was a part of me, I was like, let her bring the Kingdom in. That would be so amazing. But I knew that wasn't going to happen. But that was my excitement for a very quick, brief moment.
I didn't see it. It didn't happen. Moving on. Taya Valkyrie versus Vert Vixen. We got another squash that went longer than we thought it would, and Taya actually had to work a bit at this one. It was actually kind of interesting to watch her have to kind of come back from something. Vert Vixen held her own.
Listen, I'm so happy that Ring of Honor is actually utilizing Taya Valkyrie, because she is too much of a talented wrestler, period, wasted. NXT messed up when they let her go in her really weird Frankie Monet character that I kind of dug. She was really fun as one part of the Death Dolls faction in a small independent promotion called Impact.
You don't watch that. You watch TNA.
I know, right? It's so great. But
It wasn't it TNA at the time.
And then AEW fumbled the bag, as the kids say, because I still try to purge the TBS Championship match she had against Jade, because neither one of those women were given the time for that match. And they also butchered Chris Statlander's return when she beat Jade for the title. It was a whole thing. I hated this. But on the flip side, I'm just happy that Ring of Honor is using Taya Valkyrie the way that she's supposed to be used.
Mrs. Television, yep.
Yes, listen, I don't care. Mr. and Mrs. Television, I always like Johnny and Tyra being paired up no matter where they go. It's great.
I really like this match because I think Taya is they're building a really strong core of women's performers that I think are going to build up the top of these two divisions. And Taya is perfect for this because she has the experience and the delivery that you need for someone that's going to be one of the top contenders in your division. I loved the ending sequence of moves that she threw together going into that stomp that she does. It was awesome the way she did it. I'd kind of like to see that stomp be a KO move. You know, like they will have some times where they hit them and they knock them out and the ref just like calls the match instead of a pin. The way she delivered it tonight against Vert Vixen, it almost looked like she could have just like stood there and had the ref called it, and it would give her a little more like kind of like gravitas to her finish.
Vixen took very hard, and she took it really well.
She took it amazing. And I'm glad we did get more of it than just a straight up squash match. And I have to say, I don't know if she's used this music for a while or not, but Taya's entrance music, I really noticed it for the first time. It was sick. It was so good.
Listen, that is one of my favorite Wrestle and Flow theme songs that he has ever done. And again, also, it was kind of stupid that the NXT let him go because he's making all the cool theme music for all the wrestlers and for their takeovers. But yeah, La Vuelta Loca is one of my favorite themes that Taya has ever had, and it's one of my favorite Wrestle and Flow songs. He also does Trinities too in Impact as well. So fan is busy, but
you boys aren't seeing here, but Jesse's holding back something wholeheartedly and just waiting.
Go ahead, Jesse, let it out.
It's just so damn funny. And the match itself was okay. It was a little more than an enhancement match, which was good. But there was a moment where Taya is trying to throw Vert Vixen into the ring, smashes her face once on the mat, and then goes to throw her in. And it was a clear miscue because after the first face smash, Taya goes to throw her in the ring. Vert Vixen smashes her own face on the mat and then goes in the ring. And it took me completely out of the match. I just started laughing. Like, I had to go back and watch it. Like, did I miss a hand movement? No, she just stands there and then rolls in the ring.
I don't know if anyone's seen this video, but that spot reminded me of this female wrestler. It's like, don't worry, Marty, I'll save you. Like, trips herself on the rope and like hits flat on the ring apron. That's kind of what it felt like. It felt like a comedy bit, which also kind of made me chuckle a little bit.
Either way, it was exciting to see at least Taya get a win at this. And yes, it was some up and down stuff. There were some pieces that were there. It would be very funny to me if the television household got both TV titles, because then that would just be a story to have the televisions be the TV.
They are Mr. and Mrs. TV.
Yeah. It may not happen, but it's going to be harder for Johnny TV to get it off of Kyle Fletcher, but I feel like it could be interesting to see. We go from there to another promo that didn't need to happen on the show at all, because what did it do for any of the wrestlers involved? Shane Taylor Productions basically just says, we lost, we're sad, we're moving on. More questions from the person go right here in the Magic Forest.
What the hell was this? My favorite line was, everyone's on notice. Dude, both of you just lost. What are they on notice of? Who was that intimidating?
Well, also, every other promo so far tonight has been everyone's on notice.
My biggest issue with this was I just didn't believe Lee Moriarty. Like, Moriarty was delivering this promo like an acting student who their teacher said, act angry. And that it came across like he was acting angry, not being angry. And I just didn't, there was no like actual investment or passion there. It just didn't do anything for me. And I see there's been nothing interesting from this Shane Taylor promotion story so far.
Shane Taylor had the same acting coach, act angry and asthmatic. That's the only cues that he got. Oh, Mikey liked it. Okay.
No,
I disagree with me on it. Something else.
I can't logically form enough words in the human English language to express the dark hole that is inside of me of how far that Shane Taylor and Lee Moriarty just continually to fall down into because of poor booking decisions, not giving them clear character direction, and pretty much forgetting about them for a little bit until they figure, oh crap, we need to put another match on Final Battle. Keith Lee, are you doing anything? Oh, okay. Dynamite's not using you correctly either. Okay, let's throw both of you on here. It'll be fine. At least it looks like to have some sort of direction, but I swear to God, if they in trouble too. But I feel like I'm one of the few people that like Shane Taylor, especially, his previous work in ROH. But since this new era has started, post losing the television championship match against Joe like months ago, it's just been on a slow decline downhill, and it has done nothing for him. And I feel like Lee Moriarty is also suffering from this, because he actually had a pretty fun thing going, in my opinion, when he was paired up with Big Bill in ROH, and then they decided to throw him with Discount Rock over on Dynamite. So I love Ricky, but yeah, I love Ricky, so I could say that, but
he stanks.
You know what also stank kind of is the overbookingness of the next match, because they had good storylines going on. They had good storylines going into it, everything else, and they misused one of Jesse's favoriteest wrestlers of all time, Charlotte Renegade, as she took on Rachel Ellering in a pretty decent match until Maria got involved again, and this time Layla Salda getting involved. So now we've got drama in there. The Renegades continue to get better and better every week. Charlotte did her best for what she could do. Rachel did her really good thing of being like, really? I'm a teacher, like the mad teacher face of like, seriously, you're trying this with me? Come on. Which I love when she does that to people. It's like, come on, try something, please. But yeah. Jesse, I know they're your favorites, so go right ahead.
Well, one of them, but I've got 4 points of this match. We got to see a very rare successful drop down. We don't see that very often. Usually the drop down is just for an excuse for the other wrestler to step over. To see it actually work, I was like, oh, what the hell was that? It was jarring, but in the best possible way. That Fisher suplex from Charlotte, fantastic. That was a great move there. My only other notes are, we need to advance the story faster. It's getting stale very quickly, which is not a good sign in a news story. And I'm so tired of the Renegades losing. There's so many other women on the roster you could use in this role.
This is another match I kind of would have liked to have seen as a tag team match. We've already seen Rachel and Layla set up as kind of working together. It would be one of the few opportunities we have with an opponent who can actually tag with someone to face the Renegades, who are a tag team that we don't get to see them very often in the tag team.
They're the only tag team, really.
Yeah. So this would have been an opportunity to have that happen. You still could have had Shenanigans with Maria to try and, cause those issues, which I think would have actually made those a little more, you could have made them a little more natural, because they come off so awkwardly right now. And I think having them as a tag team match could have helped progress the story, because it feels like that would have been one or two steps farther than where we are. I did think that in general this match was solid, and Charlotte looked much better. Like you said, they are improving. She looks like she's put on some muscle too. Like, they look like they're doing really well. She worked really well with Rachel, especially in the catch wrestling. She did a great job, and there was a moment where they both interacted with some younger fans that were at ringside, that they did it in their own kind of like heel and face ways, which I thought was kind of fun. But yeah, it felt like there were a few options that they could have made making this match and during the match that could have helped make this move a little bit forward, because things seem to be happening very awkwardly, and no one seems to be able to make up for that awkwardness in their promos.
It's almost like they're going for like a whodunit type thing of whose side's on who, but nobody knows the clear direction. They haven't decided the end of the story yet, so they don't know how to get there.
And
my noise exactly.
I thought the match was fine. The Maria Shenanigans really irritated me, but I'm going to save the spiciness from when we see all three of these ladies backstage for their backstage stuff, because I'm going to go off on this whole thing.
So that makes a lot of sense on that respect. Also, the high angle boss slam, Charlotte took that boss woman slam so well. So good to see them keep getting better at what they're doing. We then jump to a couple back-to-back promos here with Johnny TV and Taya basically trying to make out in front of Lexi, and Lexi having the best reaction to it. Like, God,
I love this.
So,
I love this.
I
It was-
didn't.
oh my god, I thought this was so good, especially with Lexi.
You don't want to
this
see
was
love
a-
on television?
This was such a great example of
Not
how
familiar, not
Lexi
seen it.
works with different types of performers. Because I thought they were so entertaining, and she did such a good job of selling how awkward she felt by it. It was so good. I liked it.
Jesse,
I'm gonna
you
let
didn't
Jesse
like
go
this at all.
first, and
Yeah,
then
you didn't
I
like
will
this at
go
all.
last.
No, the only note I wrote was, what? Like, what did I just watch? And that's it. Then it left my memory banks.
So, I think over time, Jesse, I think you'll come to like it. Maybe, who knows? We'll see at this point. I think the
Wait,
reason
come to
that-
like what? What are we
Just
talking
try
about?
it. Try it a few times. Open yourself up to it. See if you enjoy it. Breathe while it's happening. See if anything happens. From
Oh
it.
my god. See, I found this really enjoyable, and I think, and I can't speak for my other constituents here, but I think the reason that the three of us like this constituents,
Yes, we voted for Mikey.
here is my term paper. The three of us like this because the three of us have been exposed to Johnny and Taya being in the same promotion on various iterations of wherever they went. So this is usually their shtick anyways. They are a real life married couple, so like I'm not as grossed out by them trying to make out because they are actually married. Which
They're
is
also
beautiful.
exhibitionists.
Yes, I mean, see, that's the After Hours podcast, but
Not
I love
constituents,
them being
Mikey.
like this
Exhibitionists.
really gross Hollywood-esque, like good made-for-TV couple. And again, my favorite part of this was Lexi. She literally just looked and she did the meme face and just like when she was trying to get an interview. I thought this was beautiful. I know this may not be for everyone, like Jesse here, but I think that it is what it is.
I feel like
really
I'm in
enjoy it.
trouble for not liking this segment.
How
How
dare you
dare-
not enjoy the television?
No,
I
You don't like crazy love, is what it is.
All right, I'm going to bed. Fuck the lot of you.
no, don't leave.
Thanks, Jesse. Thanks.
No,
I will
Jesse,
say-
don't leave.
I will say that I thought this promo set up the next promo very well.
The next promo was the best thing. 10 out of
Yes,
10
the
would
next
recommend.
promo was very good. I like this next promo, if that counts for anything.
Which promo was that, Jesse? Which one did you enjoy?
Take the lead, sir.
Castle.
What did we see?
A very distraught Dalton Castle, and I loved it. It just John TV. When he started calling him John TV, I fucking lost it at that point. But John TV ruined everything. He ruined
No.
Ring of Honor. He ruined
Did not
everything.
ruin.
And
Did not
he's
ruin.
right.
He
No, excuse
ruined.
me, not ruined. He ruined. He ruined everything, and he's right.
He's very right. He's also
I'm
Dalton
still
Castle.
mad
is trying
about
to-
that six-man match.
He tried to buy the respect of the fans that he deserves, and he couldn't get it. And he doesn't get his action figures, which he wants. And I love Lexi. Like that's not how this works.
But now I want a Dalton Castle action figure.
Me too.
I said that last review.
Yes.
No.
I need one.
With
I need
interchangeable
2 of them. One I
boys.
can keep at home, one I bring to work.
I need a Dalton Castle, like, what is it? The company that does, like, the plushies for the wrestlers. I would need a Dalton. I
The
need a
Wrestle
Dalton
Buddies?
Castle. Yeah, I need a
Wrestle
Dalton
Buddies.
Castle Wrestle
Oh,
Buddy.
Jesse's running. Jesse's running. It's not Dalton Castle, I'll say that, but I know what he's grabbing. But yeah, I just love and Lexi interacting with Dalton Castle during it was also very,
So
very
good.
good. So she's amazing at turning it the way she has to, and ruined as just very Canadian, very, very.
I also
good,
really
good.
love I was like, Dalton Castle, do we have a cold? Because he kept blowing his nose throughout this
Oh
whole
no, he was
thing,
sad.
too.
He was sad. He was exceedingly sad, so his nose started running. Couldn't you get that from depressing in his voice?
Oh, I thought he had just hit such rock bottom that he was just having to keep himself motivated.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
With cocaine, yes.
Andrew. No, he was just crying
What?
out.
I was just wiping up my.
Demonetized. Yeah! I love it.
Yeah. Well,
I need
so
Dalton
that-
Castle Wrestle Buddy, though.
Yeah.
We'll get our best if we can get that there with removable boys. It'll be fun. But then we move on to we were talking about the three-way tag match.
Yeah, thank you,
between-
Andrew.
What?
The removable boys. I don't think
don't-
they should be included if it's a children's toy.
I don't want to have Dalton Castle with removable boys. I feel awkward about that. It just doesn't feel right to remove Dalton Castle's boys.
It's a package deal. You have to have them.
Should be like the army.
Anyways.
Private's intact.
Anyways,
no,
before-
the privates are part of the infantry, which are up next with Martin and Andretti, and
There we
the
go,
Outrunners in a
there's your
triple
segue.
tag team match. So we had them all three together come out, and this was it was interesting how they played the tag rules in it and what they did with it, where the Outrunners became the ones getting the crap kicked out of themselves, and you saw the friendship between Martin and Andretti and the infantry kind of just taking everybody out while still competing. It was very fun to go with.
I like the infantry's new gear. I think it's got a really good look.
And they got the like initials of both of them on the sides and stuff. I was like, yes, we love good ring gear for like when they step it up. Did anyone else find it weird that, I don't know, maybe it was just me, I thought Outrunners and infantry just oozed charisma, and then I just look over to action and Darius, I was like, I felt like they were the odd men out of this match, because like the first half of this match, Outrunners and infantry were just being funny towards each other, like Harley Bravo making faces at the Outrunners just like making faces as well. Camera turns over to, Darius in action is just like even keeled. I was like, one of these things is not like the other.
I will tell you. Excuse me. Oh, yeah.
Sure. What was that?
I was joking. I think the reason why is the Outrunners and the infantry are very good character wrestlers. Like, they're very good wrestlers, but they're also very good character performers. Top Flight and Action Andretti are very good wrestlers who need to be performing, like doing action in order to actually like to get the most interest out of you. That's how they build up that enjoyment of them, is that kind of they keep that perpetual motion going, and that's what gets them kind of like it gets you invested in them. As well with the infantry, the Outrunners, the Iron Savages, like those teams have a bit of a different style, and so when you have teams like the Outrunners and the infantry, they're just going to overshadow the Top Flight 2.0 with when the other team has to stand on the apron. So when they're in there performing and doing all this like fun, entertaining stuff, Andretti and Martin just seem like they're just hanging out. Because the other teams were like, again, this would have been a fun match as a infantry versus the Outrunners match. I would have liked to have seen that. Would have been cool. But I thought it was a fun 6-man tag match for what they could do with that many folks. But yeah, Top Flight.
Can we also get a quick F in the chat for Truth Magnum's balls? Because, dear God, the amount of ball shots that man took
seriously
was ridiculous.
I was like, I hope he had babies already.
The look on Turbo's face when he came up after that drop toe hold, like, oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Again,
which they've done that spot before, but it's always good.
Infantry and Outrunners were killing it in the wrestling entertainment portion, and then I look over at Darius in action. I was just like, it reminds me of like when you invite kids to your birthday party, you have your very close friends that you know are gonna have a good time, but then because your mom told you that you had to invite the rest of the class because you don't want to make them feel left out. This is what this was. Darius and Action were the kids that were invited to the birthday party, but because your mom told you that you couldn't leave anyone out.
It also made it awkward because, again, this goes back to the whole thing with Dante wrestling earlier against Lee Johnson was, why are we seeing the not tag team of this group wrestling with all these other tag teams, especially two tag teams who they are very good at the style of tag team wrestling that they do, and so was Top Flight. So it was weird that they had this be the tag team that was wrestling in this. But it was also weird for me that they were the ones that ended up picking up the win. I thought Infantry was going to pick this one up. I thought they were going to win this one because they're the more established tag team. They've been making appearances together along with the Outrunners, and I feel like the Outrunners are one of those teams that can take those losses because of their comedy antics sometimes, and being more of the heelish type of wrestlers. So I thought it would have been good for the Infantry to take this win. And if you were trying to get Top Flight a win, maybe not have them in this match. I don't know. It was just, it felt weird with the other matches that we got earlier. Just, I'm not sure what the plan is with Andretti and Top Flight, because they're not going to be the AEW 6 or Trios champions, at least not in this challenge with Maya. go into this. So I don't know what the long-term plans are with them, especially when they're taking the time to put them over some other folks.
Jesse, you had a visceral reaction when we were talking a little bit.
No, it's okay. It's completely gone. The timing and everything's off, so we're good.
No worries. So we'll move on then to something that we also probably could have skipped over as well. The continuation of the Rachel Ellering, Layla Hirsch, and Maria storyline.
Oh, I didn't even write this one down. It was so bad.
Yeah, I actually had to watch this Maria promo. I didn't have the other one, but I had this one. And Layla calling out that saw Maria doing it, Maria denying it even though things had gone on, and then basically went nowhere with it until Maria left, and then Rachel and Layla both talking about we're going to be going for that television title.
All right,
Mikey has removed the hat.
Yes.
This is all Mikey.
Take
Go
a
ahead.
seat, take a breath. It's going to be Spicy El Jefe.
Mikey.
Mikey.
Everyone's hiding because when I get spicy, all bets are off.
El Mikey Agave starts.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you chastised John and I last week about something to do with mayonnaise. So please, by all means, go on.
This did not. So first, here, whoever was in charge of this, Tony, Jerry, Stokely, whoever was in charge.
Maria.
Something tells me I feel like Maria didn't really have a say in this, but so maybe she wanted to do this, or you know what? Maybe this was supposed to go differently than what they were told that they needed to. Just the writing was off the charts, horrible in this, but Ring of Honor, come here. I'm blaming Tony Khan on this because I smell his fingerprints on this little segment here. Metaphorically.
How do you smell fingerprints? I'm sorry.
The reason I feel that Tony Khan was in charge of this little segment because it shows all the signs: mistreatment of your women talent. You belittle them to nothing more than whiny little girls fighting like you were in high school again. My biggest glaring issue with this whole entire fucking promo is the fact that this didn't progress any storylines, but what hit the hardest for me and it made me super upset, I feel like we regressed Layla and Maria's relationship and the story that we've been telling with them for the last 2 months, like 5 steps back. And that pissed me off. We were a little bit on some rocky ground the last few weeks because of the gaslighting that Maria was trying to help Layla, but not really including Rachel in all of this. But Layla and Rachel are, getting buddy. And I was kind of here for it. And even last week after that weird promo we got between the 3 of them, I was still on board with this. But this has made me so disinterested in all of the work that these 3 women put into the story that we've been telling for the last 2 months in a matter of 30 seconds, all gone out the window. It was disintegrated. It was turned to dust. And again, like, whose line is it anyways? The points don't matter apparently in the end because this storyline is now gone. It is garbage. And this ultimately had Layla and Maria, like, on camera, split up. They're no longer working together. I'm like, why? We could have gotten so much more from this. I just don't understand. Yeah, cool. Layla and Rachel are going to go for the Ring of Honor Women's Television Championship. Awesome. But this whole AEW Ring of Honor universe's biggest issue, and this is the thing that I always says, why do you need to just pull the plug from storylines when we have so many things left to explore, and especially when it comes to the women's division? Outside of Billie and Athena, this is one of the other women's storylines that was developing. And I was like, oh my goodness, Ring of Honor has 2 women's storylines going on at the same time. And you threw it out the fucking window. I am beyond pissed when it comes to this.
Didn't even open the window first.
Oh my God.
Defenestration all the way.
It made all 3 of these women look like googes at the end of the day. Pisses me off that for some reason in 2023, we can't write good women's stories. And the ones that we got, somebody decides to be like, hey, let's change it up a little bit, and we get this shit. I'm so not interested in this anymore. In 30 seconds, they made me lose all care about what we built for the last 2 months. And I am so upset of this. It does nothing for Rachel. It does nothing for Layla. It does nothing for Maria. The storyline is dead. I hated this. This really, really brought me down. I was so mad by the end
But
of this.
tell us how you really feel about it, though.
See, how I really feel requires a little bit of expletives, so editor John, I apologize in advance, but
You're up to 4 so far, so keep going. Yeah, make my job that much harder. Come on. I love how Andrew is just like shrunk and shrunk and shrunk and shrunk.
he, like Spicy Mikey rarely comes out, but when I do, it's not a good thing. But I don't understand why we mistreat why is it that the women's division always gets the short end of the stick? Always. Like, when we get invested in them, when we get good storylines or everything, for some reason, no wrestling company can write any other women's stories outside of a championship storyline. And half of those are just thrown together at the last minute anyways. Again, Athena and Billy has been one of the best women's storytelling that we've had all 2023. And then this was showing glimpses of being a secondary storyline that didn't even have to do with the title, that we were getting development on. We were progressing plot elements, characters were developing. We just took 5 steps back with all of those categories in the span of 30 seconds. So Ring of Honor, we got one more show until the end of 2023. Then we look ahead towards 2024. I need you to get it together, because if you continue to disrespect your women like this and you give them piss poor stuff to do and you pull the plug out from under them, I don't feel that I'm going to need to be watching you any longer. That's where I'm at with this. This really soured me, and the good faith that Ring of Honor held built with me really took a hit today.
This seems like a great time to bring this up, but this message is brought to you by the AHA, and make sure you're taking your blood pressure medicines. All of you out there who need them.
Could we try that again, though, without Andrew moving his mic? Because that basically ran over your entire thing. I'd love to get that joke actually clean for what we're doing.
Oh, okay. I said this seems like a good time to bring up our sponsor for today, the AHA. Make sure that you're taking your blood pressure medication if you need it, and take care of your heart. You only get one.
Thank you very much. All right, gentlemen, you're allowed back in the room now. Mike, you put the hat back on. You can come back, Andrew. Rising from the depths.
I like to apologize to my co-host, because normally I like to be the good, not yelly boy, but when things really irritate me, especially when you disrespect my women's wrestling, we're going to have a big, big problem.
Speaking of really irritating, I'm going to our host to throw us into our next match.
Because you're going to yell about this one, too, because this was our 8-person tag match that was set up by a promo I didn't see, where we had Creator Wrestler 7 and Griff Garrison with Angelico, because I'm white and pronouncing it that way because I was told by Caprice and Ian I'm supposed to do it that way, and Serpentico of the SAP Project versus Dalton Castle, The Boys, and Gravity. And I'll start this off. I was disappointed Gravity didn't have the mask like last time, because they were such a good person team.
I'm mad. But maybe it's because Dalton Castle was depressed for the first half of this match.
Holy crap, that intro with depressed Dalton Castle.
It was so good.
So good.
The Boys also didn't have masks on this match.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I was like,
taking them off
whoa, they have faces?
Yeah, they do. Dalton Castle's cup of coffee, it was a classic clowning bit of how do I get to put this cup of coffee down that has nothing in it, but I can't figure out where to go. I'd watch Dalton Castle fail to put a cup of coffee down all day long. It was so good. It was so good. We then got into the match proper, and very depressed Dalton Castle hanging out on the stairs. This was all about that type of stuff where it was going to be such over the top stuff, and Dalton Castle then hulking up and everything else. It was just, for as bad as this match was, it was well told.
I actually really enjoyed the match. I don't think it was spectacular, but that whole concept with Dalton, like, no, don't tag me, and I don't feel like doing this right now. It really, really hooked me. It really sold me. I thought the ending was really good, but I have to say, at some point, I get very confused when we've got all 4 members of the Creator Wrestler tag team beating Dalton Castle up. At what point is that a DQ? Like, I understand there's interference from one, but all of them? Is the ref just going to hell with it?
I don't know. Like, again, the rules sometimes don't really matter. I'm kind of on the side with Jesse. I think I didn't hate this match. I think the only bit of it that I really disliked that kind of slowed it down a little bit was the awkward fighting of Cole Carter trying to fight with Serpentico. That really slowed down the momentum of this match for me. And I was just like, Dalton Castle's just chilling over there while these two hash it out. And even Angelica's like, somebody is not giving me their cue for me to step in. All right, I'm going to do this myself. Steps in. Serpentico was my MVP for the acting chops. It's like, I'm going to fight you. I'm going to beat you up. It's like all in Spanish. I was just like, yes, you got this. Also, by the way, this was also the match after Dalton Castle hulked up. Just as a weird side note, because I pay attention to these weird things. I love hearing Dalton Castle speak to gravity in Spanish. Didn't tell him, I need you to go over here. I was like, Dalton Castle, you continue to prove to me why you are the best wrestler that Ring of Honor has.
Well, and then after the win to camera, Johnny TV is...
Yes! I love that part. That was great. But again, I thought this match was a lot of fun, but yeah, that fight between Serpentico and Cole Carter really halted the momentum of this match. And I was just like, y'all should have waited until after the match. But, you know.
I thought, yeah, I mean, Dalton Castle, this felt like a match that was really to set up Dalton Castle's forward momentum. I love the fact that within the span of a match, we got rock bottom Dalton Castle of like hair just messed up, nothing in it, no energy, none of the stuff, to him finally like snapping and like going off on everybody. I thought Griff Garrison in this, actually, I'm seeing signs of him being a really solid like heel performer. Like he comes across in this kind of arrogant kind of way without having to be over the top. Like, because he's so athletic, it's almost like he's like, I don't have to try to beat people up, and like, I don't care, I just know I'm better than you, kind of a thing. And I enjoyed that he was kind of the one egging on Dalton Castle, that like he was the one that got him to go over the top. But it felt weird that Garrison was the one that took the pin. I thought it was going to be one of the Spanish Announce Project, because this was supposed to be something that Maria was setting up for her boys. And it was supposed to be this, oh, don't worry, I have a plan. Oh, don't worry, I'm bringing these guys in. I figured this was going to be one of those like, oh, you're going to sacrifice your temporary partners to get the victory. Or if someone's going to take the pin, it's going to be them. So this tied again into more of a, I don't understand what's the storytelling, what's the plan long term, and it doesn't help that Maria is kind of in the middle of two of these stories with these two, and then with Layla and Rachel. So it feels weird, because I don't know, I'm not really sure like where are we going with these two. But overall, as far as the match goes, it was a decently fun match. The people that normally performed really well, and it was fun to get to see them all work together. But yeah, that's about it for me.
Well, we'll move on from that match there to our final of the night, my match of the night, probably a lot of people's match of the night.
Yep.
Not a lot of story, but this was something that I would watch repeatedly. And if you want to see Lucha Rules in ROH, you have it here, because they were going on and on about that in the commentary as well. Gringo Loco and Jack Cartwheel, my new favorite wrestler, versus Commander and El Hijo de Vikingo with a Grinch helmet.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
Oh my God.
I was just like, shout out to whoever makes this mask, because I was just like, get that monies.
That was dope.
It's so good.
This was a spectacular exhibition. Very few botches, very few mistiming things, and it seemed like everyone was on board with what they could do. Jack Cartwheel nearly landed on his head on the apron. Commander, I loved the stalling, getting out of going over the ropes and just like slowly coming to the floor. Like, there was a lot of great stuff here. Talk it out, guys.
This match was great. This was definitely my match of the night. When things were starting out, I was like, why is this the main event? Like, what storylines or things are this tying into? I feel like that should always be your main. Then I saw this match and I was like, okay, yep, that was the main event.
Don't need that. Yep.
Yeah. I also, was funny because watching this, I was like, great, another tag team match with people who aren't tag team partners, all this kind of stuff. By the end of this, so I really like the idea about Vikingo and Commander tagging together, because they're two of the main AAA champions in another company. So it's almost like they're an outsiders type tag team.
Super team, yeah.
Yeah. And so they're coming in and they're doing this, especially with their lucha style, and they work so well together. and Jack Cartwheel and Gringo Loco, like they worked together really well. Jack Cartwheel again, like this guy is just so insane the way that he moves, and I love seeing his style, his like gymnastic style with the lucha libre style, because it just meshes so well and gets some crazy moves. Yeah, this was awesome. I love getting to see them all work against each other, and I hope Jack Cartwheel is here to stay in Ring of Honor for a while.
I've only got one thing to say: Cartwheel Powerbomb.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like,
Right.
dude, I can't say anything else after that. Nothing tops it. Just the match was unreal, match of the night, but Cartwheel Powerbomb.
I love this match so much. Like the rest of my co-host said, this was also my match of the night as well. You know, anytime Vikingo and Commander tag team, it's always a good time for me. You know, it was a beautiful thing. Listen, I haven't found anything that Ring of Honor has signed Jack, but they need to. Honestly, sign this man to Ring of Honor because I want to see him more. And listen, I'm already a big fan of Gringo Loco, and I haven't found anything that they signed him. I was like, Ring of Honor, what are we doing? What are we waiting for? Like, get these people on this roster immediately. But you know,
100%.
we shall see. Also, spoiler alert, there's a certain wrestler from another company whose 90 days are up and has announced a multiple world tour, so hopefully we can use said wrestler make a pit stop in Ring of Honor for some bangers. So that's what I'm hoping happens too.
Nick Nemeth, don't we love you?
Jesse, you brought up
Not Repo Man.
Don't do a Mustafa Ali like that.
I love Mustafa Ali.
Yo, we'll talk off camera because we gotta stick to Ring of Honor. Anyways, Andrew,
Okay.
continue.
you brought up the cartwheel powerbomb. It reminded me, and the kind of handspring over the top thing the Commander did. But that like pop up Vikingo did when he actually like stood on Gringo Loco's shoulders before like hopping down, like so insane.
The athleticism's on display. If you get a chance to this, one, go back and watch this on Honor Club, then go watch Final Battle so you can understand a lot of that stuff, but really get it there. Gentlemen, we have rambled quite a bit tonight. We have gone quite long, so I would love at this part just to give our empanada rating and go from there. Out of 10 empanadas, how much did you enjoy this one?
It's not a pay-per-view. We're doing 5 empanadas.
I've been doing 10. Whatever you'd like to do, though, Jesse, go against the host. Go for it.
Okay, then I'm definitely, if the host is you, I'll absolutely go against. I'm going to go 4 because I actually really enjoyed this. I had a good time. Didn't have a whole lot to complain about, regardless of all my complaints. But my big concern is women's wrestling tonight. It was botched, truncated, not very good. We had 3 matches. One was an actual match that completely obliterated a storyline, and then we had 2 that were no more than just like enhancement talent matches. Got this great roster of women's talent, and we did nothing with them on this program. But there we go. That's me.
Good.
So I will do out of 10. That's kind of my percentage.
Go
rating
against
anyway.
me. Okay, thanks, Andrew.
Well, so if it makes you feel better, it's actually out of 100.
Nothing makes me
so
feel
I just
better.
do it as a percentage and then give it a grade. So I just have to translate back into whatever we're using. But if it's out of 10, it's 6.9 out of 10. You know, I would give it a C minus if we're looking at it. It might edge out, based on how much work they've done over the rest of the semester. But yeah, it was a 6.9 out of 10 for me. There were some really good matches. There were some decent matches. There were some things that were not very good, and there were a lot of questionable decisions they made with stories going forward, not having stories, not making things clear, or just the matches that they chose to put together. So it was a kind of average card, all in all for me.
Mikey?
So I'm of 2 mindsets. I think the majority of the wrestling on the show ranged from fantastic to serviceable to it was all right. I don't think anything was inherently like god awful. But, I'll get over it next week. But man, the destruction of the Layla, Rachel, and Maria storyline really brought it down for me. And I'm hoping that Ring of Honor fixes this problem going forward. Not with just this storyline, but it makes me worry for other women's storylines outside of Billy and Athena moving forward into the new year. That all being said, I'm being petty about it, but I have to give this a 5.5 out of 10. I was really distraught with the destruction of a storyline, and as the writer of the 9 boys that we got here on the Biconics, to me, writing and storytelling is the things that invest me into professional wrestling outside of the athleticism. And just to, within the span of 30 minutes, witness the complete annihilation of the storyline that has been told the last 2 months, and I've been invested in characters and their development, just gone in 30 seconds. Really soured me, and Ring of Honor is kind of in the doghouse this week for me.
Understandable. I'll cap it off here. I'm doing it out of 7 because screw all the rest of you guys. I'm doing 3.5 out of 7 empanadas, and we're leaving it at that. I don't need to justify my things. I've talked about it the entire time. Gentlemen, this has been a heck of an in-depth dive into a Fallout pay-per-view from Final Battle. We have had time, a very good time. Put your hands in there. The Code of Honor has been